Hey guys, we're going to be going over the install instructions for our sealed spherical monoballs that are going to be for the thrust arms that are on the C7 platform. This will fit various other platforms, which you can verify on our website which ones will fit. Now factory, what Audi uses is they actually use a fluid-filled ball joint here. And over time, Audi is notorious for basically their rubber bushings being too soft. And what happens is these will crack. They will lose the fluid that's in there, and then when you're turning and everything, you'll have deflection inside the ball joint itself, and it can mess up your alignment. You'll have less steering response and various other stuff. Now, to show the different types of deflection that the bushing does, this is an arm that is out of my car. It has about 80,000 miles on it. This is a brand new arm. It has 0 miles on it, and we already installed our bushing inside this arm. Now what happens is, over time, this fluid-filled bushing will wear out because it is rubber. Now when you turn your steering wheel, what will happen is this bushing right here, it will pull tension towards like a side, which can be seen here. Now when it does that, it does not keep this bushing center of the arm. If this loses fluid, that gets even worse. So mine had 80,000 miles, and I can move that bushing pretty good. Now with the monoball, the center hole is in a normal spot. It doesn't deflect side to side, it just stays exactly where it is, which keeps your alignment, makes sure you have better steering response, and cleans out the slop that your steering can get once your bushings start wearing out. Another benefit of this is if the ball joint itself, if like a boot rips, it is serviceable. You can literally just press the ball joint out and press a new one in, and then it's done. You don't have to replace the housing itself. You can just get a whole new ball joint, and then you're just good to go. So it's serviceable, which is nice as well. For this installation, we're going to be doing it on a C7.5 S6. Now, majority of the installation will work for other cars, so there might be some little different changes as far as removing stuff to get like the bolts and the hardware out. Everything that you need is included in the kit. All you have to do is, depending on if you're putting new arms, if your ball joints are still good, but your inner joints, there's no reason to replace your arms. If your ball joint's bad, then obviously replace your arms. I destroyed mine taking it out. I'm just gonna replace them with new arms. Now, majority of people are going to just have to press these in, so you will need a press to press this out and then press the new ones in. Now, depending on the arms that you have, every arm manufacturer has a variance of tolerances, and with press fit, it is very small. So some arms might be really easy to press in, some arms might be more difficult to press in with the press. That is all depending on the arm and how it went through manufacturing. The housings have a knurled edge, so they are easier to install. We have 70-75 ends, so they're harder than 60-61. So you're gonna get 2 of these, and then essentially this is gonna be your joint. I'm gonna give a brief overview on how to press these in yourself. So we will go over to the press. The first thing I would do is I would throw this entire bearing. You don't need the ends. I would throw it in your freezer. When you freeze this compacts, which is gonna make pressing it in easier. Now, when you press these in, there's like a little lip here. The reason is the top surface of the control arm isn't perfectly flat. So if you press it in here, you'll be fine, but you won't be able to get the retention ring on the back, like the snap ring. So you wanna press it in so the arm clears the part of the groove here, and it essentially sits up and down like so. What I'm gonna do is, you get a cup that's bigger than the diameter of the spherical, so when you press it through, because it's gonna stick through the bottom, it slips into this. And then on the top side, you wanna get one that's basically the same exact size as the diameter of the part. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna set the arm in. Now when you press it in, you wanna make sure that it goes down evenly. So if you have to readjust in certain corners to press it down flat, I would do so. After you have it pressed all the way through, this outer groove should be exposed so you can put your snap ring on. It might press a little bit further, it just depends on the thickness of the arm. As long as you get the snap ring on, you're good to go. Now after you have the arms either pressed out and the new ones pressed in, or the new ones pressed into the new arms, you have your snap ring pliers. Now your bushing is installed. There might be a little gap, just depends on the casting of your arms that you're using, OEM or aftermarket. But as long as the snap ring is in and is locked it in, you are good to go. The arm should not spin. If it spins, it will cause clunking, and you don't want that to happen. You do not want this bushing to be loose. If this bushing is loose, you need to let me know immediately so I can get you a new one sent out. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna show the removal and installation of this arm right here. You will use an M21. Now some cars might be different. There was a half year where this ball joint is an M12. My car is a newer car, so it has an M14, so this nut might be different, varying on the arms that are on your particular car. Now the best way to get the ball joint off is to not, if you're gonna reuse the arm to not mess up the threads, is to leave the nuts down a little bit, so when you have something to tap, or we're gonna use a ball joint separator. Now that your ball joint popped, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna remove the remainder of the nut. Now, there is an internal core on the inside of this knuckle. If the internal core starts coming up, you need to stop what you're doing and try to get the ball joint to release from the core. Otherwise, what you have to do is, once that ball joint's released, it happened on my other side. I just used a bushing puller, like a bearing puller, and I just sucked it back down. Once it sucked it back down, it was all good to go. This one, we were able to get it to pop. The other one fought us a little bit, but now this one is super easy to do. We'll just remove the nut. Now that you have the ball joint loose, what we need to do is we need to remove this shield to expose the 18mm nut. So what you need is you need a 10mm and then a pick to remove that one piece. So we will remove that now. Now after you have the shield off, there is a heat shield that exposes the bolt to remove this arm. It is 2 T30 Torx, and then there's a 10mm up on the top of it. Now when you're removing this, be careful, do not twist super hard, because what you can do is sometimes on the back side, the threads are in another heat shield. Make sure you just don't break it. These are gonna be really hard to see, so just take your time. Now there is a bottom heat shield that the top heat shield was attached to. There is one single 10mm bolt on the back side. If you feel it in with your hand, you can feel it, you will remove that bolt. What that does is it allows you to push this heat shield up and out of the way to fish the bolt out without having to use a hammer or anything to dent this heat shield. So you just use a 10mm. Now once you have that nut removed, just lift up the heat shield, up and off the stud. And you should be able to bend it out of the way enough to get this bolt out. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna use 2 18mm wrenches. If you can somehow get a socket in here, more power to you. This is gonna be under load because it's a rubber bushing. The spherical, you don't have to do it under load. So this might be pretty tight. Now that you have the bolt off, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have to bend the shield out. You will remove the bolt, you have to go in, and then you'll have your arm out. You pull the arm down and up on the opposite end. Now that you have the arm out, this is probably when you will be pressing in your bushings. Now we are going to reinstall the arms the same exact way that they came out. So the easiest way is ball joint in, then you push this up. After you have your arm tightened in, you can actually torque it while it's up in the air because of the ball joint style. Now, movement like this is normal, but it's going to allow everything to move in unison and as if you had a brand new bushing. Make sure you tighten down all the nuts and all the bolts, and you're going to reinstall everything in reverse order. All right, guys, so that is going to conclude the installation of the monoballs. After you have everything all torqued and reinstalled, you can drive it around, make sure you hear no like clunking noises or everything to verify that you tightened everything accordingly. And it is highly recommended that you go get an alignment as well, just because of where the bushing was sitting on the control arm, the alignment was set to where that bushing was. Now, if this bushing's center placement is a little bit different, it might affect your alignment. So just to be sure, I would highly recommend an alignment. So thanks for watching and see you on the next one. Bye.